It's International Women's Day. It's here, and it is with great pleasure that I introduce our guest today, Mrs. Giselle Khoury. Giselle Khoury is the host of Al-Mashhad on BBC Arabic television, where she interviews prominent Arabic figures, and prior to that, she hosted the political talk show Bil Arabi on Al Arabiya news channel. She has been a journalist for over a long time and part of a generation, she says, where she grew up during the Lebanese Civil War. She says she became a journalist in response to the violence and the tragedy of that conflict. Welcome, Mrs. Giselle Khoury.
Hello, Youmna. I feel I'm in the trap, you know. I didn't really know that I will do this interview in English.
No,
but I will do
I'm
it.
Guilty. I'm guilty as charged.
I didn't understand really that it will be in English.
You've been in this business for over 2 decades now. Do you think that women in journalism are better off today than when you first started?
It's not a matter of doing better or not. I think that the professionalism of journalism is different now. It's changed completely. Now we have social media. The shows are very quick, very fast, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And really, if we can have more than one guest, it's about 1 hour or 50 minutes. Before we had time for discussion, for doing a deeply conversation and not a news show. Now everything is a news show or a show of a past or some scenes like I'm doing now. I think that journalists and women journalists especially now are doing very well, and now we have a number of women doing a political show. When I started, it was only for men, the political show. I think one woman only had her political show. And I was the first one who held a political show in the satellite channel.
On satellite.
The first one.
Channel. Do you remember getting a lot of negative criticism on that, or were people welcoming it at the time?
Not really.
Okay.
People
were encouraging it?
Not in public.
Right,
not in public. I don't know, in the little salon of in
Beirut.
Was
it challenging for you?
Yes, sure. Yes. An Arab woman talking about the political region and international politics. It was really a challenge, but it was fun. Also.
You've had the opportunity to interview so many different, from political figures to artists. Does any interview stand out?
A lot of them, but if you ask me which personality I prefer, I think Mahmoud Darwish, because now he's not here, he died. But Mahmoud Darwish was first a handsome, very handsome.
That always helps.
Very smart, very deep, and very human. And he became a friend, and I'm very proud of that.
That's lovely. So that's why you were also married to journalist, writer, and historian Samir Assir until his assassination on June 2nd, 2005, after which you founded the Samir Assir Foundation and the Skies Center for Media and Cultural Freedom. What has the foundation accomplished since its inception?
First, you have to know that the foundation has 2 projects. Skies, the center, the Media Center for Freedom, and the Beirut Spring Festival. This year, we will have the 7th edition of the Beirut Spring Festival, but in the 10th commemoration of Samir's assassination. So we'll have a very big performance in the Martyr Square, talking about the history of Beirut, and it's a gift for Beirut. So we have the habit of the Beirut Spring Festival. It's free, and usually we have a very good performance from outside and inside the country. Skies is a very big project, and in the spirit of Samir, because Skies protects, or try to protect, the freedom not only in journalism, but also in art, and it's very important. Now Skies is a reference with her data in Mashriq, because we are covering Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and Palestine.
Right.
Skies is a reference for campaign and for her credibility. Sometimes we gave the data for the embassy and sometimes for the government concerning the journalists and the hostages in Syria.
You know, you mentioned it's going to be the 10th year anniversary since the assassination. And I asked this question to Mrs. Naila Mawad a few years ago on International Women's Day. After such a tragedy, how do you find the strength to move on and to keep going in what you do?
I think you have to choose life or death. And there is no something between. I choose life because of my mother and because of my children. It was the first step, and after it was for Samir also, to try to continue his cause and to continue to say to his killers that you are here and you are still here. And now it's for me also.
It's for your own cause.
Yeah.
It's his. We have a question. We had different people, when we said you were coming, a lot of people weighed in on Twitter and a lot of people had questions. We chose this one from Miss Rebecca Bouchabil in Beirut. If you had to give or talk about the 3 lessons you learned that you could impart upon young journalists in the industry, what would you tell them as they're entering?
I think it's a way of life. But you need culture and credibility. I can tell you an example. Today in the morning, we read the headlines in some newspapers saying that Kerry meets the Bishop Matar for 45 minutes. And he gave him a letter to Batrak al-Rai. When the Voice of Lebanon called the Bishop Matar, he said, it's not true. And it was a headlines in newspaper. So the credibility, I think, is the first important things to have and to keep when you are
Check your sources then? Make sure you...
It's very often in Lebanon, if you want to say something or to write something, you can give for any journalist or for any reporter that it's true, you know, there was meeting and they talk about Lebanon and they want really to elect a new president. But the journalist must have his investigation before to put this news. So credibility and culture
are the most important ones.
Are the most important.
Thank you so much for being with us today, Ms. Giselle Khoury. And on that note, we end this interview. Happy International Women's Day to all of us. Back to you, Linda.